Hello and welcome to the What No One Tells You podcast. I'm Christy Valentine and I'm joined today by Mark Davidson, who is the founder of Work Inc.
Morning, Christy.
Hello, pleasure to have you with us.
Nice to be with you.
Mark is a serial entrepreneur, so we'll get into his story, but Mark is the visionary behind what you see and what has come to life at Work Inc., which is the most unique co-working space on the planet.
They call Macquarie Bank the millionaire's factory. This is the billionaire's factory.
It is. Yes, we've seen many deals happen here and companies made billionaires through being here.
People have started with nothing and have gone on to be hugely influential,
yes,
listed on the NASDAQ and things like that. Yep.
Yeah, we have a community now of 100 different companies,
yep,
and that's 600 people in-house.
600 entrepreneurs, 600 vibrant individuals.
Yeah, and it's so energizing to be here because we're constantly around people who are in the hustle.
They're not just in the hustle, they've put the 9 to 5, put that away. They've backed their own judgment, backed their own goals. Mm-hmm. And to be financially independent is a real challenge. It's not an easy route. It's like obstacles are put in your way every day of the week, and you've got to get up and you've got to be positive, and that's what you feel when you come into the house here.
Yeah.
It's like you're surrounded with this aura of positivity.
Yes.
You can feel it.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
So I want to get into your entrepreneurial journey, but before we do that, I just want to speak a little bit about how we became colleagues. So we have worked together now for 9 years.
Nearly 10.
Nearly 10, and I'm sure we will work together for the next 20. Now, do you remember, Mark, let's go back to when I first walked in the door and we had our first ever discussion.
And I said to you...
We'll get to that, but it was not really an interview, it was more a discussion. And I remember at the time I said to you, okay, well, when do you want me to start? And you said...
You should have been here yesterday.
Correct. And at the time, I think it was like a Monday or a Tuesday. And at the time I was running my own business. And our arrangement was that I was meant to start the following week and that I would be here for 1 month. Now, at the time I remember thinking, oh my God, how am I going to leave my own business for a month? What does that look like? What have I got myself into? So anyway, we'd agreed. Now, again, I was meant to start the following week. The next morning, I receive a phone call from your personal assistant. And she says to me, she calls me and she says, Christy, we need you to come in. We need you to fix a problem for us. I said, no problem, Sue, I'll be there. And I turned up and there's a room of about 20 people waiting for me to walk in. And I said, Sue, what's the problem? She said, we have an issue with our dedicated desk area and we need you to fix it. Now, this meeting is starting in about 3 minutes. You're in the room and everyone's in the room. And even at that point in time, I don't know if you know this, but I had no idea what co-working was. So I had about 3 minutes to Google what is dedicated desking. And I quickly did a search and I walked into the room and I don't know what happened, but we solved the problem.
We did. You dazzled us.
And anyway, so the rest is history. I was meant to be here working for 1 month and that has now turned into 9 years.
It's been fun though, hasn't it?
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been lots and lots of fun. Okay, so Mark, let's go back before that. Now, when do you think you first felt that entrepreneurial spark?
Oh, well, I think I'd left school, had various dead-end jobs, gone overseas, came back, and I started a lawn mowing business in Queensland.
I actually don't know this. How do I not know this?
I don't know, you never asked.
Okay.
I think I was 20 or 21. I started a lawn mowing business, and this is how I got into property. There's a reason for everything. So mowing people's lawns, I was mowing this lawn of a property developer, and he said, "Well, I've got a subdivision. Can you go and mow that. So that was like slashing, with a tractor and stuff. So I used to make the blocks look nice and tidy, right? So I'd do that because the grass grows a lot in Queensland, as you know. And then he said, well, do you want a weekend job? I'm down on salespeople. Do you want to have a crack at sales? I thought, yeah, never had a salesman's job, so had a crack at sales.
So no sales experience whatsoever?
No, and this is the days you didn't need a licence either, of course. Yeah,
okay.
This is Queensland, anything goes. And I started doing land sales on the weekend and went all right for me.
So you took that opportunity.
I sold my lawn mowing business, became a salesman, a full-time salesman.
Okay, so what were you selling? Tell us about that.
Blocks of land in North Queensland, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And turns out you did pretty well at that.
I did, for some reason, it went all right for me,
All right, so from lawn mowing business to selling blocks of land, where did your career take you after that?
Well, I thought I wanted to do more sales, and I wanted to do commercial sales because I thought this real estate game's not too bad, I want to sort of like elevate myself to... So I took myself off to Brisbane. I went door knocking to the 5 big commercial real estate houses over a course of about 3 days, got 2 job offers and joined Richard Ellis when I was about 22.
So let's go back a step. So again, you just went door knocking.
Yeah.
Okay, so not applying the traditional way. Why did you choose door knocking?
Because that was the way you did it.
Okay. The way that you did it, or?
Well, that's the way. Well, sales. It was just like a selling. I'm selling myself. So, you just go and knock on doors, and you got a lot of respect for doing it.
Okay.
And I had a commercial job the week after. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so you've got your commercial job now.
Yep.
What's involved in that?
Well, it was interesting. So I was put in what was called the project leasing team, and there's basically 6 or 8 young people like us, managed by 2 or 3 mentors, and you're to lease office space in either newly created buildings or buildings that are yet to be created. So you had to be like quite creative. And I remember my first transaction, or one of the early transactions, with a company called Quintex, Christopher Skase and Mrs. Skase, otherwise known as Pixie. And they rented, Quintex was an entrepreneurial company in the early 80s, and they rented a whole floor from me. And I thought, well, this is pretty good, you meet interesting people, and one thing turns into another.
Okay.
And then I moved on to pre-leasing industrial space, and that's where I started to work for a property developer. And I got to see what property development was about, and I thought, well, this is a pretty good gig. Maybe I want to be a property developer. So one thing led to another.
Okay.
So from lawn mowing to property development, you can see there's a path.
Yeah. So from taking an opportunity, when someone's offered you a sales position with no experience, so that is the path that your career led you on.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so where we are today is we are in co-working.
Yep.
So tell us how you landed on co-working and what was the path that led you here?
Oh, well, that's a funny story. So,
okay.
In fact, how I arrived in these heritage warehouses is I was racing my motorcycles and I was looking for somewhere to keep my motorcycles. And there was a sign in the window for lease. And it had been there for like maybe 2 years.
And this was a disused warehouse at the time, derelict warehouse.
Under the Harbour Bridge, North Sydney, prime space location. And it's just that, when you sort of, I don't know, it's like when you're looking to buy a car, all of a sudden you see how many of those cars are on the road, Otherwise you don't even, you're not even aware of it. So this thing had been vacant for 2 years. I'd been driving past it, but when I decided I needed a warehouse, and I realised, that one's down the road. So I phoned up the real estate agent, and he said, look, unless you're in automotive, you haven't got a chance. So I said, well, I just want to store my motorcycles and have my office there. He said, oh, well, maybe. So I called up a friend of mine, Julie Bindon, who was a very good town planner, and I asked her some advice. She said, look, heritage building, why don't you just step outside of the LEP, the Local Environment Plan, and make an application direct to the state government on heritage restoration grounds. So I told them you're going to restore the warehouse and that's the way we go. So I restored it. I had my garage downstairs with my motorcycles, and I built a whole little office pod, like a glass pod.
Yep.
And I sort of working away, and people used to come upstairs and knock on the door and ask if we had a desk.
So they would walk in from off the street.
Off the street.
And walk all the way upstairs to your office.
Knock on the door and say, do you rent office space?
Yep.
And this happened, no mate, we don't rent office space. And this goes on for, several months. And I said to my assistant, I said, what is going on here? Why do people think we rent office space? She said, I looked into that and I did a bit of research and maybe they think we're co-working. I said, what's co-working? She said, well, that's where you share an office with people. I thought, that's interesting. She said, well, there's only 5 of us here and there's a lot of space. What about it?
And also, beside that, you are in this incredible looking glass pod in a converted warehouse.
Oh, it's sexy office space, yeah. Like,
so why wouldn't someone,
cool.
young entrepreneur, want to be in that space?
Yeah, it was like seriously cool office space. Yep. So we decided we'll build a little office. My colleague and I, we designed it and we sort of sat next to each other. I thought, no, he's too close. Maybe move it away a bit, and that was a bit comfortable. And then, I want a desk that's about this size, and I want to put my computer here, my bag there, So we worked out that we needed 1.5 metres of space between us. We need a desk that's about 1.5 metres.
Yep.
In area.
So you really were considering the space not based on square metres and cramming people in. It was more about comfort and the space that entrepreneurs needed to thrive, really.
Where I wanted to be comfortable, where my personal space was. I didn't want to be crammed. I wanted to be able to express myself. I wanted my space. Yep. Yeah. Not someone else's space.
So you built the space how you would want your office.
I built the first prototype office as if it was my office.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And then I guess it's all been an organic expansion from there.
So we built 3 little offices within our office and they just got snapped up. Interestingly, by a young entrepreneur who's gone on to do bigger and better things. And then the space next door became available. So we thought, okay, well, let's build something that's big and proper.
Yep.
And that's when I decided to build the first bay out with about 30 offices. And that's when I took myself around the world to go and have a look at co-working.
Okay, so you've already started now.
Yep.
You have recognised that there's organic growth and you're starting to expand. And now you head off overseas to go and see what else or how other people are doing co-working around the world.
I need to go and understand how this thing worked. Yep.
Okay.
So I took myself...
So right now you've built purely what your own interpretation of co-working is, which is you're building offices how you would want to work and how you would build your own.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I thought, well, okay, better go and find out how these things are run properly. Or I thought how they were run properly. So I went Singapore, London, New York, Chicago, Boston, San Francisco. And maybe 40 or 50 of them I looked at.
Yep.
And pretty much, I even went to WeWork's original facility in Brooklyn. And pretty much they're all the same. They just are run by landlords renting space out. And it's not just, to me, it's not just the space that's important, it's the environment that you provide these entrepreneurs. Anyway, so I'm about number 46. I'm sitting in a room waiting to see the community manager, as the sort of generic type of person you chat to. And this older woman walks out, and I'm a bit tired of space by this time. And I sort of groan internally, and I shouldn't have. She's a lovely lady. Anyway, I got talking to her, and she had a whole different sort of vibe about the place. And I asked her, I said, what's your background? She said, I used to run 5 Hilton hotels. This is, in fact, my son's business, and I just run it for him. I said, so you run it like a hotel? She said, oh, absolutely, yes. And that was my light bulb moment. And I thought, she runs a whole different show. She's running it. And then I sort of got thinking, okay, you run it like a hotel. Why don't you take all of the back of house away from entrepreneurs and let them focus on their business?
Yeah.
And you just give them a seamless real estate journey.
Yeah, and I think, and that was the difference. And I think it is so important because work is where people spend most of their time. Their office is a representation of their brand. It's where they want their employees to be. It's what they expect their investors to see. So running it in such a way where people can just come in and work, they don't have to worry about any of the back of house. All they're doing is they're just focusing on what they do best.
Yeah, and look, your average office building is like a dead zone. You get in the lift, no one looks at each other, you push the button, you get out on the floor, and it's an acre and a half big, and it's just, ugh.
Well, what I can say is I've been here for 9 years, and I'm still amazed, not surprised, but there is not a person who walks into this building and is not amazed at their surroundings and what they're seeing when they walk in. And I would describe it as almost like a sensory experience where what they're seeing, what they're hearing, I can hear the trains going over us right now because they're just above us on the train line. What they're seeing, what they're hearing, there's like music playing, and it's just a lovely way for them to walk in, and they're impressed every single time. And I feel like I love that because I'm incredibly proud of that.
When they bring their customers or their clients or their bankers or their investors, they are equally impressed. And that sort of like gives them a warm inner glow, thinking, I'm not embarrassed. I've only got a small office, but wow, look what it is. And that makes an impression on their customers or their investors.
Yeah.
And it gives them more confidence.
It certainly does. The one question that I get asked a lot by passers-by or by members is, do we have another location? And the answer is no, because we prefer the location to be boutique.
How can you replicate?
It's family run.
How can you replicate this?
Absolutely. We are in the base of the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
We're in heritage warehouses.
No one else can say that they work in the base of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. There is no address like it. It is an incredible and energetic place to be.
We've got, probably a dozen international companies that could be anywhere else. They choose to be here because they love that sort of the tag, the moniker, Sydney Harbour Bridge Heritage Warehouses. In fact, the King's Trust is here, as you know. Used to be called the Prince's Trust, but now the Prince is the King. It's the King's Trust, right? Yeah, it's a large organisation. They could be anywhere they want to be. They choose to be here because the King himself looked at the website and said, that's very cool. Yes, you can be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, that's definitely one of the stories that we're most proud of here. But yeah, I think this space is responsible for shaping the stories of so many businesses and entrepreneurs and where they've started versus where they're going. And one of the stories that I love is that, in a lot of places, people don't normally celebrate when a company leaves. In our case, our members with us have a very long tenure, far greater than what you would expect in co-working. We have people who have been with us since day one.
Yep.
So companies who have been with us for 8, 9, even 10 years.
Yep, correct.
And I guess sometimes when people leave us, it's purely because the growth has been so great that they're leaving because they need to take their own floor somewhere, or they're in a position where they've pretty much outgrown us. So we celebrate those moments because we've seen them start from like a 1 desk or a 2-person office, and we've watched them grow, and that has been incredible to see.
One of my favourite stories is young Sam, who was I wouldn't say a computer nerd, but he had a real talent for programming.
Yep.
And he started a cybersecurity business himself. And I remember one day we run a point of sale system for the cafe on an iPad, and we needed to do the iPad update, but the person who had the passcode was overseas or something. I said to Sam, what do I do? He said, give me 20 minutes, I'll write some code. 20 minutes later, Sam's hacked into the iPad and we've done the update. Now he's gone on to, I think his company's now listed on NASDAQ. I don't know if it's worth 500 million or 5 billion, but it's a
Yeah.
lot. And he's now doing cybersecurity for the CIA.
Yes.
And I don't think Sam's 30 yet.
That is, another incredible story, and just one of many from the business owners and founders that we have within these walls. Sometimes I think if these walls could talk, they would tell so many great stories of greatness.
Oh, what I'd like the boardroom to be able to tell its stories.
Yeah.
Because it's been the meeting place where it's quite a fancy boardroom, right? That's that's my original boardroom, and
Yep.
just imagine this little glass pod sitting in this old 100-year-old warehouse. So it's quite cool. Yeah. So it's like the deal room. People bring their bankers, bring their investors there, and that's where they sign the deals. And I reckon it's probably seen $2 billion worth of deals signed.
Yeah, it's definitely the engine room for deals. So,
Yep.
yeah.
It's like a deal magnet.
It is. Mark, let's go back to the origins of you storing your bikes here. Your biking story goes back to participating in Dakar rallies.
Oh, way before that.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your Dakar journey.
Oh, Dakar journey. Well, there's only one story to tell, and that's meeting Ricky Rios. So Dakar is it's a long rally. Typically most people know it as Paris to Dakar, but it moves around the world. So for 5 or 6 years, it was based in South America, and it would go basically from the east to the west of South America. And as you know, there's a big mountain range in between called the Andes. It's got about 3 passes to get over it, and they're all around about 5,000 metres. I don't know if you've ever been to 5,000 metres. It's like not far off Everest Base Camp. You can't light your cigarette. You can't have a fire. There's not enough oxygen. You have to pull the air filter off your motorcycle to get as much oxygen in it to make it run. So this particular stage we had to go, it was only short, it was like 270 kilometres, but we went from 1,200 metres to 5,000 metres in about 90 kilometres. Now, if you've ever done that, that's like extreme altitude very quickly. So most people want to, step by step and become acclimatised. But this is a motorbike race and it's extreme territory. So we get to the top of the mountain, and literally you're at the top of the Americas, and all you can see is other mountain peaks sitting below you. And you're presented with 3 alternative routes. And the road book looks pretty much like the one to the left. So the one to the left goes down to a ravine. So I'll be brief, but so I take the one to the left, and it's clearly not the right one. And it's one of those situations where you think, shit, how am I ever going to get out of this? Am I in trouble? And at this point in time, it's like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, and it's going to get dark by 7 or 8. And at the bottom of this ravine, which is probably about 500 metres we've gone down, so let's say we're at 4,500 metres now, there's a quad that's overturned and its rider is trapped underneath it. So I managed to get him out, and that's where we sat for the night in the ravine. Our bikes are equipped with what's effectively a satellite phone, and you push the button and it dials.
Otherwise, there's no standby crew.
No.
Help is not immediate that circumstance.
Help is not immediate.
Yeah.
I'm told by Paris that there's a big problem on the mountain. There's maybe 40 or 50 riders who have gone missing, and you're just going to have to stay put for the night. And unless it's life-threatening, there won't be a helicopter tonight. There'll be a helicopter tomorrow when the day breaks.
Okay.
So I'm with the pilot of the quad, Ricky Rios, and he's got a broken arm, he's got some internal injuries, and he's not very well. So I carry morphine tablets with me, which you do. Generally not for your own use, but maybe for just
in these circumstances.
So I give him 2 of them, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking, what happens at altitude with morphine? I have no idea. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
So I distribute it to him, and it calms him down, and we sort of don't go to sleep. We just go a bit quiet, and it's like 2 a.m. and Ricky's like comatose. Ricky's not saying anything. I think, shit, have I killed him? So,
well, you didn't, did you?
No, I checked his pulse, and he's got a pulse. And look, long story short, so we spent the night together. We light our flares in the morning, and I can hear the chopper coming. The chopper lands on an area that's about the size of a small kitchen. That's the only flat part in this ravine. And it's a tiny little helicopter with a doctor and a pilot. And I realised, well, there's no room for two of us. So Ricky goes home on the stretcher on the outside of the helicopter. Pilot gives me some water and a bag of biscuits and says, you'll have to call control and they'll work it out for you.
Okay. So you're left behind.
I'm left behind.
Okay.
And I talked to the man in Paris and he says, well, this is going to be a bit tricky. There's 70 kilometres before you can get to a proper track and it's all off-piste. And for the next 5 or 6 hours, he's trying to walk me through where to go. And it goes like this. So I push the button. He can see where on the map where I am. He guesses, take 300 metres, at a cap bearing of 270, and then call me again.
Okay.
What he can't see is, in those 300 metres, there's a cliff, there's a drop-off.
What's in front of you?
Yeah, you have to turn around, come back. So I finally get through, and by the time I get to the bivouac, which is where you ended up the day before, I'm arriving at lunchtime the day later. So I've been going for like 30 hours and they give you compassionate time. I should be eliminated because I help a competitor. They give you compassionate time and they let me start again. But I'm now 7 or 8 hours behind where they started and I haven't had sleep, haven't had food. So I do the best I can. I ride till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm literally just brain dead. I can't see how to navigate any further. And that was my Dakar.
Okay, so
40 hours I've been riding.
So endurance, it's like a marathon and unpredictable. How do you liken your Dakar experience to running a business?
It's exactly like running a business. So you get up in the morning, you think, okay, today I'm going to do this, this and this. Well, the gods of business have another plan for you because you're going to have to deal with their problems that they throw at you.
Yeah, I could not have put that any better. Yes, the gods of business have their own plan.
They have their own plan and it's like, it's all these external forces that you have no control over, but you have to deal with it. And you can't see it coming and, it'll be so left field.
Yep.
It will be, there's a war and the price of fuel's gone up today. Well, that creates its own little problem. So you have to work around it.
No fault of your own, but you still have to deal with it.
You've got no control.
Yeah.
No control. The stock market's fallen. Well, stock markets go up, stock markets go down.
Yep.
But today, I was planning on seeing investors. What do you do?
Well, now you have to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now, Mark, there's one story that you've told me before about the ritual of Dakar before you take off on the race. There's something that happens.
Yeah, there is. Only for the motorcyclists.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 200 competitors. So they get all the competitors together. They're going to take a photo of us all. And it's only the motorcyclists that they do this. And you have to kiss the cheek of the rider to your left and the rider to your right. And the reason they get you to do this is they want you to make a bond with your fellow competitors because they know during the course of the rally, and they tell you this, one of you will be dead, 10 of you will be in hospital, and 50 of you won't be finishing.
Wow.
So you know that your competitor is your first responder.
And that's in a group of only 200.
Yep.
And you know that all of these things will happen, and that's just been proven time after time.
Time after time, yeah.
Okay.
And it is very confronting. So the chap that I kissed to my left, he died on day 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is very confronting. Yeah.
Very confronting.
Yep.
I know that there is one, I look to you as a mentor, and there is one thing that you've told me, which I think the origin is from Dakar, but also relating to business, and that is it's not an adventure if you know where you're going.
Correct.
And I think that is so true. Going back to...
If you know where you're going, it's not an adventure.
Absolutely, going back to what the business gods have in store for you and navigating your way in, out, through all of those situations. you're never quite going to know where you're going. So you do almost have to treat it as an adventure.
You got to make it up as you go. Look, if you want to be financially independent, and that's what self-employment is all about. You're calling your shots. You're making your own destiny. So if you want to do that, it's hard. Not everybody can do it. So you've got to make some sacrifices.
Yeah. Lots of those.
Lots of those.
Okay, Mark, so what is one thing that no one tells you about running a business?
The cogs, the combobulator of the world.
Yeah.
You think you know what's going to happen tomorrow, and you have no idea. And you have to work it out as you go. So that's like the rally. You think you know where you're going. You think you know what the obstacles are going to be like, but you don't until you get there.
Yeah.
So the guy that makes the road book, that's who you're really racing against, not your other competitors. You're racing him because he's designing the road book to make you fail.
So there's no one straight road to being an entrepreneur. It's not for everybody. And
it's damn hard.
It's endurance.
Yeah, it's damn hard.
Yeah.
There's a bit of luck involved, but generally, to get lucky, you have to be there in the first place to get lucky.
Yeah.
And if you cave in early, well, you're not going to get lucky, are you?
Yeah. And Mark, finally, what's the one thing that you would like to tell people about running a business or starting a business?
Oh, look, it's fun. Don't worry about the hard work. That's the easy part. It's just the fun of getting up in the morning and not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mark, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We've heard the great stories about the origins of WorkInc, your backstory, and how all of this came to be today.
And I still mow my own lawn too, by the way.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you so much for joining us on What
Cheers.
No One Tells You.